Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we have double the Jason, double the fun. I've got Jason Bahl on with me. Jason Bahl is the creator of WordPress GraphQL, longtime WordPress community member, and a new Gatsby team member. So, Jason, do you want to give us a kind of a quick overview, who you are, where you come from, how you got here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name's Jace Ball. I'm based out in Denver, Colorado. Just joined the Gatsby team like almost exactly a month ago to work on WP GraphQL pretty much full time. I've been doing WordPress development for about a decade. Some agencies, some in-house work for a newspaper publisher. And yeah, WP GraphQL started about 2 years ago to solve some problems we had at the newspaper syndicating content. Grew into a big community project. Now a lot of people are building headless WordPress with it,
Nice.
and here we are today.
Very, very cool. Yeah. And we've got Tony and Ben in the chat. It's great to see you both. Yeah, man, I think this is going to be a fun one. So, can you maybe give us like a very fast elevator pitch for WordPress GraphQL? I mean, I can also just read this tagline if you want.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Yeah, WP GraphQL, like it says, is a free open source plugin, and it converts any WordPress site into a GraphQL server. So then you get a GraphQL endpoint that you can use the GraphQL query language to query data, mutations, and perhaps one day subscriptions.
Nice, nice. Um, so this is cool. So what did you want to build today? I think there are a lot of ways we could go with this.
Yeah, so earlier this week, actually, we at the very top you see WP GraphQL for advanced custom fields being advertised.
Hmm.
Before I joined the Gatsby team, I released that as a paid plugin to kind of see if I could bootstrap myself to work on this project full time.
Yeah.
I'm on the Gatsby team. I'm not trying to bootstrap myself anymore. So earlier this week, we actually released it as a free plugin. So now
Nice.
it's free to anybody. So I'm gonna do a little bit of work showing how to use WordPress with advanced custom fields, and then query that data with WP GraphQL and WP GraphQL for advanced custom fields. Get
Nice.
that data, run a Gatsby site.
Okay, cool. So to save us both some time, which I appreciate, you before the stream set up a WordPress site. So let's go back to the homepage here, and we'll just look at it. Um, do you want to walk us through kind of what's happening here?
Yeah, sure. So WordPress, when you install a vanilla WordPress site, it comes with a couple types of content out of the box. We have posts, media, pages, comments, uh, plugins, themes. And you'll notice here we have a team members one. That's a custom type that I registered to WordPress.
Nice.
The way I did that, we can look just super quickly. If you scroll down, there's going to be a custom post type or CPT UI
Oh,
link. So this is a WordPress plugin called Custom Post Type UI. And
okay.
if you click Edit Post Types up at the
Okay.
top, you'll see we have this custom post type that I could register without writing any code. So I can
Oh,
register. So you give it a slug, you give it a plural label, a single label, and then if you scroll to the bottom, uh,
oh, dang. There's
up,
a whole. Is this all the
yeah, just
internationalization stuff?
yeah, stuff like that, and various labels that show up. And if you scroll, so these are various settings, like if you want the type to be available to the core WordPress REST API, things like
Okay.
that.
Oh,
If you
nice. And then like
scroll
what core
there,
features?
yeah, like if you want various admin elements. So at the very bottom, um, I have a I have a plugin we have active called WP GraphQL for custom post type UI. So it
Yeah.
extends this UI so that you can tell WordPress and WP GraphQL that you want this type to be exposed to the WP GraphQL schema.
Oh,
So here
cool.
we just say we want this type in our GraphQL API, and you give it a single name for how you want it to show up in the schema and a plural name, and then now you'll have the admin interface to interact with this type in the WordPress dashboard, but now we'll also be able to interact with it over GraphQL.
Nice. Okay,
So,
cool. And so what that built for us, or I guess, do we need to look at like the custom fields or anything?
yeah, if you want to click into team members, we'll look at that real quick just so you can see.
Oh, team members.
Uh,
Got it.
Yeah, and then so I added me and you in here real quick.
Okay.
And if you're not familiar with advanced custom fields, these fields are built by advanced custom fields, and we'll look at that in a second. So at the very top, we have the title. If you scroll up one, just a
Oh,
tad bit more.
this one.
So that's the normal WordPress like post title, and I'm just using that for the name for this. And then these fields below, right there, those are advanced custom fields, or field group of advanced. So many field names. So this these are fields built by that, and we'll look at how I built that in a second, and then
Okay.
we'll look at how to query that in GraphQL. So yeah, I'm giving us like a title, like software engineer. You can upload a photo. If you click on that, you can like open it. You know, the media library. WordPress has a media library. You can delete the image, things like that.
Nice. Okay.
Edit the alt tag, things like that.
Cool.
Then add a bio. Scroll down. We got Twitter. I basically copied the fields that we have on the Gatsby about page. So
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice. That's cool. So,
so if we go to custom fields now on the left side of the menu,
okay.
we can look at how we built these fields. So
Okay.
yep, right there, team member profile fields. So we have the title, and that's a text field.
And there's like
Yep.
advanced custom fields is really really intense. There's a lot you can do with it.
Yeah. So in this case, we just want a simple text field, and that'll end up translating to GraphQL as just a string,
Nice.
which we'll look at in a minute. So if you scroll down to the
And
bottom
we can
here,
see that you have a setting here. So like you could have like fields that were visible but not necessarily queryable.
yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Like if you had sensitive data that you didn't want exposed to the API, you can prevent it from being exposed to the API.
Nice.
By default, any field that you add to a group will be exposed, but you can turn it off with the button. But the group itself won't be automatically exposed. If you scroll to the very bottom, there's
This one.
yeah, right here. So on GraphQL, that's for the entire field group, and by default, when you that's turned off. Like you have to opt in to exposing your data to the API.
Gotcha. So if we created new custom fields types, by default, those will not be available in advanced custom fields or in WP GraphQL. We'd have to go turn this on and then assign a name.
Yep, and then so that's the name. That'll be the field name uh, in the schema for how you access the subfields.
Right.
And then if you scroll up a little bit, there's location rules, and this is like
Location rules.
where in the schema it'll show up. So scroll up, right up, just a tad bit more,
Oh,
right here.
location. Got it.
So, so this is the ACF like rules on where in the admin
Uh
the
huh.
UI to edit this data should live. And WP GraphQL tries its best to pick up on those rules and then apply it to the GraphQL schema as well.
Nice.
So since we have and we'll look at this visually in a second, or like in graphical in a second. So in this case, we're assigning this group to the post type team member.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go edit team member like we just looked at, we'll have this group to edit the profile fields. Um,
And so this is
and
like the
so
team member, but if we go over to pages,
it won't be there.
it's not there.
Another one called page sections here, which we'll look at
Yeah.
in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so that allows us to put in team members. I put me and you in already, so we have two team members. You know, as our live stream team grows, if we get another Jason, we can
Jesus.
add that. But yeah, so you can manage like each type of content like granularly, and then uh, and without duplicating your data efforts, right? It can be normalized in a database. So, and then yeah, we have this one. You're looking at the home page, and we have another advanced custom field, um, flex field. So, and we'll look at that in a second as well. Or you're looking at it right now. So, um, this is a what's called a flex field. If you go to the very bottom, you can click like add new section.
Okay. Um, bottom add section. Sorry, I'm. Oh, nice. So you get team members or hero. All
Yeah,
right.
and then we could build whatever sections we want.
Okay. Cool. Sorry, I'm trying to like troubleshoot audio a little bit. I think we're not quite balanced. Um, can everybody let me know which like is this better? Are we more balanced now, or is it still one of us is louder than the other? Also, hello everybody who joined. Um, turn Ball up a little. Okay, let's turn him up. Yeah, can you give us a mic check, Jason?
Yeah, can you hear me? Is this better?
How's is everybody good? Okay.
Like
Um,
1, 2.
yeah, and if I need to bump it down, um, I can just let's see, bump you back up a little bit. How about now?
All right, can everybody hear me? Is that a little more balanced?
Turn him up a
Turn
little
Ball up a
more.
little.
All right, I'm gonna actually turn myself down just a tad because I think it's that I also might just be using my radio voice, which booms a little bit more. So, okay, cool. So yeah, let me just turn this down just a tad. Okay, hopefully that helps balance things out. And so, yeah. And hello to everybody who's in the chat. We've got a huge number of people in today. A lot of people stoked about WordPress. A lot of people stoked about GraphQL. We've got Amberly from the team. We've got a couple regulars in the stream. I only wear the cost is here. I mentioned Ben and Tony earlier. And then Lori Barth, who's actually going to be on the stream next Monday, I think. She's in the chat. So what up, everybody? Thanks for coming and thanks for watching. And I think right now, Bryce is here too. What's up? So yeah, we're ready to roll. I think. Let's
Yeah.
look at some GraphQL maybe.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we got a gist of this, and we can see what data we're editing. So yeah, if you go over to the left side, there's a graphical button at the bottom there.
Okay.
So this brings graphical, the very popular GraphQL IDE, to the WordPress admin, so you can interact with your GraphQL API here. So yeah,
All
we can
right.
look at docs. You can browse things, search things. So by default, when you install WP GraphQL on a vanilla WordPress site, it's going to scaffold out types and fields for the core WordPress data like posts and pages, comments, media items,
Okay.
uh, even settings and things like that. So yep. So since we use that custom post type UI plugin to register team members and told it to show in GraphQL,
Uh huh.
we can now query for team members directly from the root if we want. Yeah. So in this case, title is going to be the name because we're just using the post type attribute. So if you said title, that would be like Jason Ball or Jason
Okay.
Langstore.
How do
So
I get the ACF stuff?
oh yeah, I'll show you that in a minute.
Okay. So
Oh,
to start, I'll
profile. But yeah, just do like title and ID probably because we're gonna need an ID for most time.
okay.
So yeah, so we called that ACF group profile fields. So then you can query profile fields.
Query profile fields. Okay.
Yeah, and then that's gonna
And
have the sub fields. So that'll be like software engineer, the bio, and then like a more advanced one, photo.
oh,
That's
there's
not just like URL; it's a rich type, right? Because
what?
photos have properties like so in this case like yeah source set would be like
Oh.
yeah
So
and
will
then you
this
could
just
do
work? Like, can I just use this field and it'll just work with Gatsby image? Like, can I
um
query what I need for that?
I think you might be able to but I think it's in a slightly different shape right now. Somebody created a plugin for that though. It's called Gatsby WP GraphQL inline images, I think.
Oh, nice.
um but you might be able to get this work. I haven't used it with ACF yet myself, but
Okay.
I'm totally happy any changes to the shape of the schema to have them play nice. But you could do source URL too, like src URL, or I think yeah, source URL, yeah,
Was it? Was it?
uh,
Oh,
or yeah, that
source like paid
yeah
out. Okay.
yeah.
Um, and then that gives us like the full image.
That's just yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So this looks great.
We that so that allows us to query like a type of content, an entire type of content.
Yeah,
We could do advanced pagination and stuff if we had, lots of people that we need to paginate through or whatever.
sure.
But what I want to look at is actually creating like a flexible layout where you could have like, let's say, a hero section
Uh-huh.
that you can control in WordPress, like customize the background color, customize the messaging, and then a section that lists the team members as well.
Yeah.
So if you go to pages, I created another advanced custom field group called sections. And that's what we're messing with here. So you can add sections to this page, and
And
you
the
can, like in this case, hero section. Yeah, so we'll have two
yeah.
sections, or like rows, if you will, on a
And
theme.
and this is really powerful because like this is one of the things that I always loved about advanced custom fields. So like a little bit of like quick little bit of history for me. The way that I got started in web development was like after I got done I was building stuff for my band. The first professional work that I did was really around building WordPress sites. So I had an agency that did almost exclusively WordPress sites for about 10 years. And we lived and died by the ACF plugin. We used it for literally everything. And it was because of things like this. Like this, we could give this to a client and say, hey, you can add whatever you want, but we'd predefine these blocks so they couldn't break stuff. So as long as they filled in these fields and we had marked what was required that needed to be filled in and all that, then they could do anything they wanted to the site. They could reorder these sections, drag them into different orders. Like all of these things are very easy for someone who's not like this is I think WordPress's biggest strength, right? The content management side, like the admin side of WordPress is not easy, but it's intuitive. You can click around and kind of find what you need. And I found that people were able to do that. They could jump in and poke around and things just worked. Like I didn't have to do lots of hand holding or training. I'd give this to a client, show them how to use it once, and then they would be able to take it off and go running, which is why I'm so excited that this plugin makes it possible to let, okay, my clients are going to manage their content in WordPress, which I know they can use and that they're comfortable with, but the website itself is going to be built in Gatsby so that I get all the performance and I don't have to deal with writing WordPress templates or building front ends in PHP, which is not my favorite way to do that. So, anyways, that's like a little bit of a tangent, but I'm really excited about this. I think this is really powerful.
Yeah, so let's hop over and start doing some Gatsby stuff now. Now that we kind of got a gist of the WordPress admin and what we're kind of gonna do with the data.
For
Um,
sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on Glitch so that people can follow along, and also so that you can take like you can help. So let me, how do I remix this? I got to down here. I'm going to remix this. I'm going to rename it. We'll call this, come on. All right. We're going to say this is WordPress Gatsby. To use WPGraphQL to connect WordPress to Gatsby. All right, so now I've got this. I'm going to share this out. I will send... Let me share this to everyone. So I'm going to throw this in the chat. Anybody who wants to now can come and follow along while we work on this. And Jason, I will send this to you. I'm going to... Do you have the chat open?
I don't. Yeah.
All right, let me...
Yeah,
let me send it to you in a different channel. All right. So now what we can do, let me know when you're in and I'll make sure that I give you editing rights.
Did you put it in Slack or what?
Yeah, I put it in Slack.
Okay, cool. I had Slack closed, but
that's
good. I got
it.
Yeah, I just didn't want to distract him. Right, I got it though.
I see you. All right, so you are now an editor. All right, so here's where we're at right now. I've got this kind of simple setup where at the moment it's just a hello world site. All we have is an index file. So there's really nothing to this site. It's just a one component that gets returned at the home page. So what's powerful about this is that, you know, if we come in here and I want to make an edit, anybody who wants to come look at this is able to do so. It auto saves and we'll see this update like pretty much immediately. So we've got the ability now to collaboratively edit this, which I absolutely love. And what's really fun about this is like now if you want to, how do I follow you? I can follow you somehow. Nope, that was the wrong button. Here. So what I can do is if I can figure out which color you are, maybe, no, I don't know. There is a way to do it, but I think we might have too many people in here. This is great. I'm super happy to see everybody in. So thank you everybody for joining. And let's dive in. Like, what do we need to do first if we want to connect this data to Gatsby?
Yeah. So first thing, so one thing to point out, right? Gatsby has Gatsby source WordPress, and the way that works is that it wraps the WordPress REST API. Look at me, I'm editing the page. Sweet. So that's one thing to note. We have Gatsby source WordPress wraps the WordPress REST API. We're talking about WPGraphQL, which makes your WordPress server GraphQL API. So this classic Gatsby source WordPress plugin doesn't work with WPGraphQL. So we're gonna use Gatsby source GraphQL, and then
Okay.
so they're two different plugins. We're working on,
Which one do I
I don't
want
know,
first?
but we're going to do Gatsby source GraphQL. So we're not going to use the Gatsby source WordPress plugin in this case.
Gotcha. Okay. Do I
So
need
the
any other
Gatsby
plugins?
source, I don't believe so. I think that's the only one I was planning to show. So Gatsby source GraphQL allows you to use any external GraphQL API as a source for your Gatsby content. So, uh, there's public APIs like GitHub or Yelp, for example, or CMSs like Graph CMS or whatever. So you can use any of those GraphQL APIs as a source. In this case, we're going to be using a WordPress site. Yep. So Gatsby source GraphQL. Let me double check what we need to configure there. So yeah, resolve Gatsby source GraphQL options. We'll do type name. So yep, type name.
Whoa. No, that seems okay. Type name?
So type name. What Gatsby source GraphQL is going to do is it's going to fetch the remote schema from our
Okay.
WordPress server, and it's going to stitch it in to the Gatsby schema. So the type name is going to be a prefix for all the types in the remote schema. So in this
Uh,
case, we can call it WordPress or whatever we wanted. You just want it to be a unique name,
let's go
and this will
something.
pre.
Let's just go something short. So we'll call it WP.
Yeah, and then you also want field name. So I typically use capitals for types.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
probably,
smart. That's smart. And
and then I
I
use
was thinking that
uh,
was the field name was why I was prefixing that.
yeah, field name. I usually start lowercase, so that could also be WordPress if you want, or it could be WP, or it could be whatever you want.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
seems okay. We'll go with this.
and then you pass a URL. So in this case, we're using. I have a demo WordPress site up. If you do HTTPS,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was like, I was like, he's gonna finish talking.
uh, ACF. So it's acf.wpgraphql.com. And for those following along, I can't. I've set up that site specifically for this demo, so it may or may not exist in this state months from now. I can probably preserve it, but just so you know, if it doesn't work, if you're following along months from now, it's because that's a live WordPress site that may change over time. And then slash GraphQL will be the endpoint.
And
And
now,
then we,
to
go
be
ahead.
clear, just because we're using like what I would consider to be a blessed domain here, this is not like something specific to WP GraphQL. This would be whatever your WordPress site is. So if I put it,
Slash graph.
if my site was at say Langsdorff.com was a WordPress site, if I install WP GraphQL, then unless I change the settings, Langsdorff.com/GraphQL would be my endpoint.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Um, anything else we need
And there's
here?
one more option to add called Refetch Interval, and this
And is
will
this
so we
camel
can
case?
seconds. Yep, exactly. And we'll put an integer in seconds, so like we could say 60 seconds or something. So just 60. So
Okay.
what that'll do is that like, as we're developing, this will refetch every 60 seconds.
Okay.
So get kind of like a pseudo live preview as we edit content in WordPress. The
Mm.
Gatsby side will refetch the data every 60 seconds. So if we, anytime in that 60 seconds, save data on WordPress, we'll
Hmm.
get a semi-hot reloading experience.
Nice.
Um,
Okay.
but
That's
that's
dope.
all we need.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so that's
let's.
all we need.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new window, and then I can go to triple underscores GraphQL,
Yeah,
and assuming all went well, we
should be able
should
to
be
type
able.
WordPress.
Yeah. I need to update my Gatsby
It's
version.
gonna
We don't
be
have the
prefixed.
Explorer. Hold on. Let me bump my Gatsby version because I want the new hotness. What's the latest? What is the latest Gatsby? Latest
Like we
Gatsby
should.
is 2.13.40. I feel like there's probably a way to do this automatically in Glitch, but I don't remember what it is. So I'm just going to do it the manual way. But yeah, what I want here is this is going to restart, and we'll get some new features in the console. So let me open this log up, and once this finishes, we'll be able to flip back over. This is where I need my soundboard with like hold music or something. So I started taking music production classes. Like once upon a time, I was in a band, and I was like really into music. I love doing that stuff. And then I like realized that the life of a musician, it tends to be spent in the back of vans and without a whole lot of cash. So I fell away from music. But now, as a developer, I can afford to take music lessons. So I'm like, hey, let's try this. And I've been like getting a couple things. And so now I'm like, oh, do I want to make like theme music for my own? Because I also did the After Effects stuff, like these video wipe transitions. I think I might be a ridiculous human.
So if you make theme music, you should make Gatsby theme music theme. All right. There you go.
Wait, what's Monster Cat? No, every time so every time Chris Biscardi gets onto one of my streams, he convinces me to buy something. So I'm not looking at Monster Cat. I don't know what it is.
So what's going on? Is it
This I think we're okay. Let me flip over. Nope, it doesn't like something. What doesn't it like? What don't you like? No space on device. Uh-oh. Should I just undo this? Should we just maybe live with
I don't know. That Explorer is so nice.
I mean, it's okay. I'll figure that out later. I feel like for right now, this might be more work than it's worth.
Okay.
Because I just want the thing to work. We are on an outdated version of Node. Maybe that's the problem. Well, it's not really outdated. This is still LTS, right? I don't know. I don't know things. So this is fine. This is a warning that will eventually get fixed upstream that we don't need to worry about. What I'm currently worried about is I think it's like having issues with memory, which may or may not be a thing that we need to worry about. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't like this. Are you going to work? Come on, be the thing. Do the thing. So, but what we'll do instead is we'll just color. So let's draw
Oh, that's cool.
a bunny.
The Gats bunny.
The Gats bunny, which means it needs like a top hat. Maybe. Man, I think I might have broken this. Oh, it
Oh
reverted.
no.
Where were you before? All right, I'm going in here. We're going to rewind this just a little bit to where it wasn't broken.
Oh, that's a pretty cool feature.
Well, it'll be cool if it works.
If it were.
I don't know how to trying to figure out how to like kill this thing because I feel like what it really needs is like a just a restart.
Yeah.
And what I really need. Okay, so it's got the logs, it's got the error. I want you to stop so that you actually do the thing that I want. Maybe I just try a different node version. What happens then? Oh, it really doesn't like this. Come on, man. Well, this is no fun. So this is something that like I really want in that I really want in Twitch or in Glitch's interface is I want like a kill button. Like let me like destroy this thing and start over again. Because it seems to like it just shorts out sometimes, and then it gets caught in a loop and it won't let you out. So what I'm wondering is like, do I need to? Can I get this thing to stop somehow?
What's that calling on? That's just for logs. I
Yeah,
saw the bomb icon.
it's like under some kind of a loop here, but I don't know how to get it to stop. Maybe we just watch it one more time. If this doesn't work, then I might have to start up a new glitch, which would suck. Well, so a hard refresh won't matter because what's actually happening is it's under glitch. It's like on a container, right? So this is the thing that's very cool, and like when you hit edge cases, very frustrating about glitch is that like to start, it just does all this stuff. These magical things happen, and then when it stops working, you don't have the tools you need to be able to like refresh the container. Because I have a restart button, but I don't have like a stop so I can touch this. Because what I really want to do is just change this back, but it's overworked, so it won't even let me see the previous states, and it won't let me. I don't want to preview the rewind. I just want to use it. Yeah, see, this is frustrating. So then we get like a debugger, but the debugger is not going to load because this thing is broken. We've got the waking up. It's going to try to install. It seems like it's caught in a loop, and I don't know how to unloop it. Okay, so let's just try again. Let's switch project. I'm going to switch to the Gatsby Hello World for Glitch. I'm going to remix this, get us a new one. We'll rename this. Okay, so let's try this one more time. Let me send this off. Shoot this over to you as well. So what we're gonna do this time is I think just gonna make sure this actually works. All right, so we've got our thing working. I'm gonna pull in this this Gatsby config. I will get the old one so that I don't have to write all that code again. We're gonna get into this. I'm gonna grab the WP config or the Gatsby config. Then I'm gonna close that, come in here, drop this in, and I need to add Gatsby source GraphQL. Okay, so this should get us back to where we originally started. Apologies, everyone. And now we'll have a working Gatsby GraphQL. So that was a fun little sidebar.
Yeah, there we go.
Don't be like that. Don't you dare. Oh, that's fine because that wasn't installed. So now it should be doing what we want. Enable PNPM. That's supposed to be enabled by default. Come on, Glitch. I've been saying so many nice things about you. I keep telling everybody to use you. Like, don't do this to me. Come on now. All right. We got business. How's this looking? Are we getting to a thing? Wait until bundle finished. Okay, so we're closer. I'm going to go down to this GraphQL. Okay, I'm not touching any more buttons. So let's take a look here. What we should have is a WordPress type. We do. So I'm going to explore this. And we've got, here's our team members. What if I want to get that page, though? Do I just do pages?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could if you wanted a list of pages, or if you want an individual one, there's an entry point called page.
Oh.
And that would take an ID. Or we have this page by, so you could say page by, and then this allows you to query by different parameters. So in our case, we can say by. So, and I would just, and then we can say home. So the value would just be a string of home.
This one here.
Whole path would be just
okay.
home.
Nice.
String home. So that'll allow us to fetch an individual page, and then you can do like, let's say ID and title. Just make sure it's working like we expect. And then
nice.
Cool. So we're getting the home.
Okay.
Sweet. And then so we're querying. We made a ACF field group called sections, right? So you should be able to type sections. So it's page section fields is what I guess I called it.
Okay.
And then so that's a group of fields. Within that we have a field. So that's just like kind of almost like type name.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
But so then sections is our actual flex field.
Yeah.
And then that'll get an array, a list of the sections. So type name. Yep.
Oh, interesting.
So now we're going to use a fragment to say what fields we want based on the layout, the flex field layout row that we're going to be giving back. So
okay.
If you hit enter,
can you talk a little bit about what a fragment is? Like, so this is something that I feel starts to get into the more like advanced.
Yeah, for sure. So if you go back to the Schema Explorer and search for sections, like
I think I'll just click into it. I think right because it was just right through here.
Sure.
I'm gonna regret. I'm gonna regret having said this.
Yeah. So it'll be under. It would be under page.
You were right. I should have just searched.
Yeah. So if you do sections at the very bottom, that's the field.
Okay. So then we get the sections.
An array of multiple possible types. So this is what's called a union in GraphQL. And what that means is that when we ask GraphQL for some data back, we can't possibly know ahead of time what type of data we're going to get back. So in the case of a flex field, we had a hero section that we could get back and a team member section. And as you grow, like you could potentially add many more sections.
Yeah.
And you know ahead of time which section it's going to be. So you tell GraphQL using a fragment, it's almost like an inline switch statement in the query language. You can say, if at execution time, the data is this, I want these specific fields back. If it's this other thing, I want these fields back.
Okay.
So it allows you to explicitly declare what you and your application want to support.
Sure.
And then GraphQL will do what's necessary to get it back to you. So if you hit enter under type name, we could use an ellipsis. So it's ... and that starts a fragment. And then we'll use the word on. And then you'll put in one of these type names. So it's
and it's going to autocomplete for me. Let me
so
shut this down so we can actually see it.
And then just like any other fields, you use the curly braces to select what you want on this. So we had like a background color, a title, a description, and we can look at this. We can open this back up in ACF in a second and play with it. So I think, yeah, it's background color, button link, button text, description, title. I think that's about it. And then we had the team members. Yep.
And now we get different things. So we get team
Yeah. So
members.
team had a repeating list that you could select multiple team members.
Uh-huh.
So this one's a little different. So team members is going to give us an ACF repeater field, which returns an array of team members, and then you can select. So this one, same thing. This could be a union also
Okay.
because the ACF field that we used was called a post object field, and
Okay.
that allows you to create relationships between any kind of post object in WordPress.
Okay.
So WordPress doesn't know ahead of time if it's going to be a post or a page or a team member or whatever else. So this also makes use of a union, and you can say on team member, yep, right there,
Okay.
and then you can select the fields you want. So in our case, we might title is going to be what we're using for name, so like Jason Ball or whatever. So you want to query title. We'll want to query ID because if we loop through this, we'll want to give a key to the React node. Uh,
Okay.
so do ID and then profile fields was yep.
Profile fields.
And then so we'll use curly braces on that too. And then we had yep
A whole bunch of
bio,
stuff.
yeah,
I,
GitHub, Twitter.
I feel like at one point I remembered there was like a shortcut to get all of the like get these to autofill out. I just don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I think if you leave it blank and then try to click the play button, it'll try to do it for you.
Okay. Do we need anything else out of the photo, do you think? Guess we can.
Maybe an alt or something.
Yeah, alt is
I
good. Yeah, we definitely want the alt text. We should probably go
so I don't.
set our alt text, but
Cool.
ooh. Okay, so
Yeah.
now and this is what's kind of interesting about this because basically what happened is like typically in GraphQL, you feel like you have to return the same type of data. But because we're using these fragments, we're able to get back an array of sections, and the sections have different content. So this is going to make looping trickier, like when we go to display this, because we have to detect the type before we
Yep.
kind of continue.
Yep.
But it means that
So
we can do something like those flexible content layouts.
yeah. So let's go back to the UI for editing WordPress real quick, just so we can see. So look at the current value. Actually, scroll up on the results real quick
On the
of the
results.
query. Like, look at the color. So we have 362066, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the edit page in WordPress and change some values, and then re-execute this query just so we can see like WordPress is controlling all this.
Uh, what? Wait, what is it? Go Gatsby
Slightly different.
purple.
There you go.
And then once we
And then you'll
update,
have to and then click update. Then you should be able to re-execute that, and we should see our updated field now. So there you go.
and there we go. So that
So
is very slick. How are we doing on time? All right, we got about 45 minutes left here. So let's build ourselves a really simple website. What do you think?
yeah. So what I think we can do is under source we can go to pages index, and let's just create like a nice landing page that's sourcing these sections from WordPress. Um, so under index,
I've got some issues with connecting here. Okay, we're connected. Here's you. I'll give you editing controls. Now I'm jumping into pages index. All right. So how did you want to do this?
sure, I'll still let you run. I'll kind of narrate and let you build stuff.
Okay.
And so we're gonna want to query some data. So let's import in braces GraphQL from Gatsby, and then we already have React imported. We have a home component, and then note that we're exporting at default. And then let's see, we're going to want to create a query. So we could say export const page query, or yeah,
Oh yeah,
query,
yeah,
whatever.
we'll call it page query. That's fine. It's worth noting it really doesn't matter what this is called. It just has to be exported. That's the main thing.
Yeah. And then we'll say GraphQL with template alert. Yep. There you go.
Okay. And
That
now I can just copy this over, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing I love about GraphQL is like the dev tooling around it. Um, yeah, you can just literally copy it like that, and you got something working.
And
So
now
this
if we were
is
going to
gonna
do this through like the create nodes API or something, we could pass in this variable as context. We're not going to do that because this is more of a proof of concept, but like this can be flexible. You don't necessarily need to hard code each query. And there's a question
yeah,
about the schema inferred type. Tony, if you're asking about the schema inferred types for like what's available in a union, then yeah, I think you would end up like it has to be something that exists in the schema. So
yeah,
I don't think it has to be inferred necessarily, but it does need to exist. So whether it's been inferred by Gatsby or explicitly defined by you, I don't think that matters. If that was the question, I feel free to ask again if I'm not answering what you're asking. So now what we should get is we've got the ID and title. We're going to get our page section fields, and then we'll get our sections. So that all this query is going to come in as data.
yep.
Okay. And now,
And then we could just like console log it or whatever just to see, make sure.
yeah, let's get the sections and then we'll console log those. So we've got like the whole thing is data and it's going to be .wordpress, .page
Yeah,
by, .page section fields, .sections. So
yeah.
WordPress dot page by dot is it capital P? Yeah, capital P WordPress. That looks really weird to me. I shouldn't have done that.
So
WordPress dot page by dot page section fields dot sections. And then if let's actually dump it. So we will do, this is my favorite way to debug React props.
oh yeah, sure.
We'll stringify the sections and we'll make it look a little bit nice and we'll just put that into a pre-tag. And so now I can come back out here, go to my home page, and we should see all of that data dumped. And so the nice thing is we can see what we got, right? So all that data is coming back. We're getting the stuff from WordPress. Here's that color that we changed. And we can see this is an array, and each array has an object in it, and each object is coming in with a type name. So we want to switch on this, right? Or something.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. So one thing I like to do, we can create. Let's go back into the code base and create two new components. So under source, we could create a components directory. Just so I want to show like how to use fragments real quick too, and how to keep your code like coupled to what
Ooh, all right, okay, okay. No, and this is good too because like if this will give everybody a taste of what GraphQL is capable of, and then we've got a live stream coming up with Mikhail Novikov, who's we call him the GraphQL sommelier, and we're gonna do an actual whole stream dedicated to advanced GraphQL patterns. So this will kind of be the intro. You can wet your whistle, and then in a week or so here we'll get back on with Mikhail, and we will build some. We're gonna do some really cool stuff. We're gonna like do schema customization. We're gonna build custom types. We're gonna load data from two sources into a single type. Really, really, really cool stuff. Really powerful things that Gatsby's capable of. So you
That's
want
awesome.
components for each section, is that right?
Yeah. So let's say we have a hero section and a team members section. So for scaling your code base, it kind of makes sense to have components that handle themselves.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, well, yeah,
let me scaffold these out a little bit. So we're gonna
we'll
do
import GraphQL as well because we'll want that for fragment.
okay, cool. And then we're gonna export default team members. We will get.
Or
I
well,
need
let's import GraphQL. Just leave that for now. Just put some boilerplate like HTML. Just be like, hey, a div with yeah, exactly.
okay. So
Well,
we will start here. We'll come into here. Oops. Come into hero. Do the same thing. And I'm just going to replace this with hero. Okay. And then down in here, we're going to
Yeah.
do something like,
We'll
well,
map over the sections probably. So you could do it inside the article or whatever.
sections.map, that'll give us a section.
Yep.
And then we're
And then
going to,
so instead of parentheses, do the braces because we'll need to do a switch statement here. We'll need to execute some logic.
that's fair. All right, let's do some braces. And then I'm actually going to switch this out to a div just for semantics because we're going to turn these into sections actually.
Yep.
And let me dump this out. We're not going to use that anymore. Okay. What next?
So here we want to do, let's do const, let's get the type name out of the section.
Okay,
So in there,
section.
dot type name, or you can destructure it or whatever.
I should have.
It's underscore.
Underscore type name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then let's do a switch statement here. So we can say
switch on type name. And then what do we got?
So case, it'll be, if you go back to graphical, you could just copy those values.
Oh yeah, okay. So this was foolish of me to get rid of. Let's go back to GraphQL. And okay, cool. It held it for me. So let's go in here. Right. And then
we'll just return our hero component. So we'll need to make sure to import that.
Okay, so let's import hero from components hero. And then we'll do the same thing for team members.
Yep.
Okay. And
then you can say case. Yep.
Grab this one. Nope, this one. Drop that in here. Why are you helping? Stop helping. Oh, buddy. What is happening? Oh, man, my indentation is so out of whack right now. All right. Return team members. Okay.
And then, so...
we need to key these, don't we?
We want to pass. Yeah. And we also want to... So we'll do, what it'll be, section.id. And then you can pass the entire section as props. So just do the...
like spread or...
Yeah. Braces with the section.
Okay.
And then same thing on members.
And we could also set this up to be like a I don't know if this is the official like CS version of it, but like a hash map where we did the type name maps to the component, and then we could return. So like we could do something where like components equals, and then you would have the type name.
Yeah.
And then the component.
Especially if you have like a growing library. Yeah, exactly.
And then you could do something like, return components type name like that. I mean, that gets a little goofy, so that might not be what you want. But that's another option if you don't want to use like a big ass switch.
Yeah. So, so this, if we look at our page now, and then we'll probably want to put a default on here too, because we have no guarantees that these sections will be here, especially WordPress is dynamic, right? Like somebody at some point could delete both of these sections from ACF and they might not exist. Yeah. So we want a default.
Okay. All right. So we got that. I'm going to go back out to the front. What?
We're too popular for glitch.
What does that mean? How does it? Oh no. This is bad. What? Okay. So I guess there's a popularity punishment? Like that's weird. I kind of didn't think that was a thing. Well, now it's breaking too. What's it breaking? doesn't like the hero, expected assignment or function call. Is it like
Did
broken
we forget to
back?
export? No, we did export.
Oh, we're not.
Oh, you. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We done did bad. Okay, so that, and then this. That ought to fix it. Hopefully that, is that going to reboot it? Okay.
Compose.
Come on, man.
Too popular.
Um, well, that sucks. Okay. I guess what I can do, let me just open a thing, and then what I'm going to try here is I might be able to just pull down the glitch thing. This is a really cool feature, the glitch
Oh.
project thing, so you can just pull in any given project. And what I'm going to attempt to do here. All right, so these are our files, and everything's doing what we want. So what I want to be able to do, is it going to give me, it's not. So what I really want here is I'm just going to try to send this to Git. J. Langsdorff, we will call this WP GraphQL Gatsby demo. And I think that just built a thing. So let's go to GitHub. You're so helpful, and it's never helpful. All right, so we just built this thing. There should be a new repo in here. WP GraphQL. Oh, good. So it just like failed silently?
It's too popular.
What up? Oh, man. Okay, so
You just do it live, local on your machine for now.
yeah, I was hoping I could get these
Publish
local.
it.
So right, this is like local but not quite local, which is kind of
Oh.
the weird thing. So it's here, but it's not actually on my machine that I'm aware of. Can I find in Finder? No, that's find in folder, which is not what I wanted. I want to locate the local download. What happens? Is it just going to give me like a... Oh, good. Okay, so I can use this then. Yeah, let's go to... I'll close this one. We're going to open here. We'll go into downloads, and then I'm going to teach glitch. Okay. So this should open the local version, and then I can actually do stuff with it. And we'll just yarn. Oh, shut up. Doesn't like my engine, so let me just get rid of those. And then we'll try again. Yarn.
Oh, you could at least probably update Gatsby for the Explorer if you want. I mean, it's
Yeah,
now,
I definitely could. I'm probably not going to, just because we already burned so much time on that, and I'd love to get this data on screen.
Yeah.
And we're running a little short on time. So while we're waiting for this to install, there's a question from Ecomath. What do you like about glitch over VS Live Share? Today, less and less. So what I like about glitch over live share in general is that glitch it's collaborative coding, but it also allows a ride along, and you have to explicitly opt people in for editing controls. With live share, what I found is that you can either give everybody edit access or nobody edit access. There might be a way to work around that, but I haven't found it. It's not immediately obvious. Another thing that I like about glitch over live share is that when the session is over, the code is still available on Glitch. You can still go look at it and see it. And that has not been the case with LiveShare. So yeah, Lori, the glitch stays up. And so you can go look at my glitch account and you'll see all the projects that I've done. Let's see, what is it? Is it at Jay Langsdorf? Yeah. So, and you can see all my projects here, and like, here's the one we did today. Here's the one that we broke. Here's like, this is a baseline Gatsby site that I built with Potch, who's one of Glitch's DevRels. I worked on a site with Horacio to go over like writing good docs. And so, you can go watch the stream where we built this, or watch the stream where we built this, or you can just explore the code and kind of play around with it without having to actually download it. So I really like that feature. I think that's really nice. As you can see though, like Glitch is I don't know that it's meant for what we're using it for. So I think we're finding a lot of the like unexplored corners. That being said, I think, oh, come on, Gatsby develop. So what I'm hoping here is with just by running that yarn install that we've got everything we need. It should be, because it's just running a container. So anything that we build locally should be exactly the same as what was built on Glitch. So got that. Let me go out to localhost 8000. And it doesn't like my type names. I done busted it. Let's dump that.
We're close.
Okay, so I've got my source components. No, it's here. And what I'm going to do, type name does not have a capital N. So I'm basically passing in something empty right now.
Yes.
Let's try that again. Hero team members. Heyo.
All right.
And now,
so cool.
These are getting a bunch of props.
Yeah.
And so we can... I'm just going to dump these. So you go ahead and talk while I'm doing this.
Yeah, sure. So right now we're letting our index page handle the entire query to get everything, but we're breaking it up into components. So GraphQL, the query language, allows us to use query fragments so that we can couple our data dependencies with the component that needs to render the data. So that way you're not like chasing your data all around your application. You can declare right there in the component, when this component's used, here's the data I need. Cool. Yeah, so we're getting this data now, but the component above is querying it. So let's make it a fragment and move it to be, a self-sustaining component. So we can import GraphQL. So we're in the hero component now. So import GraphQL from Gatsby.
Okay.
And then we'll do export const fragment.
And does this is another case where like the name doesn't really matter, right? Yeah, this is more just for your own understanding.
Yeah, and then we can go back to our index page and we can copy that, or we'll just actually cut out that fragment for the hero. So that whole ...
This part?
So cut that out. Yeah, cut that out. And then replace it with ... Yeah, okay, paste in here real quick. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, paste it here.
I imagine there's more to this, right?
Yep, we have to give it a name now.
Okay.
So we'll call it, instead of ... we'll call it fragment. So get rid of the ... Fragment. We'll say fragment. Give it a name. So we could just call it like hero section or something.
Okay.
So we say hero section. And since we're exporting that fragment, we can use it elsewhere. So we can just take the name hero section, and in our index file where we used to have this, we can say ... hero section.
And it's, wait, really? That's going to work?
Yeah.
That's
magic.
And I'm going to have to stop and restart because we changed the queries. So let me Did I stop it? Okay. My font is operator mono. If you're interested, I have like a whole list of all the stuff that I use up on this URL, jason.af/uses. Okay. Holy crap. Okay, so this is cool because what I thought had to happen was that if you were using a fragment, you were still going to have to wrap that fragment in like an on type. I didn't realize the fragment was smart enough to be the on type switch.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. Amazing. Okay, that
Then
is
we can do the same thing with the team.
dope. Okay, so I'm actually just going to grab this. Oh, shoot. Which one's the one that we need? One in
We've got to close the
here,
terminal, or
right? Oh, yeah, I should just
you can
close the
just
terminal, yeah. Make that
you just
smaller.
call it team member section real quick right here.
Team member section. Okay, then I'm going to go into team member. I'm going to import GraphQL from Gatsby. Export const fragment is going to be GraphQL. And then down here, we're going to do fragment team member section. Save that. Save this.
So this cleans up, like, this component's job now, the index. Its job is querying the data, but its job isn't declaring what fields for each section. Now the sections have the responsibility of saying, I need this data, right? So now, like, you can manage your application in a very granular way.
Oh.
So yeah, we get the same results, but now, and what's awesome about like React and templating in React and now with GraphQL is that an individual component can manage everything, right? It can manage its styles, its markup, and its data dependencies. So you don't have to like chase your entire application. And okay, data's being fetched way over here, pass, 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 pass. Right now, you can just say, I want this. So your boss comes along tomorrow and says, oh, hey, we have GitHub website and Twitter. We also need a Facebook URL, right? You go to
Yeah.
ASP.NET, add a Facebook URL, come to this one component, put Facebook in. Your job's done until you don't have to
Yeah.
like down
You,
like okay, this data's fetched over
you don't
here.
need deep knowledge of this of the whole app. You just need knowledge of that one component.
Exactly.
That's really nice.
Uh,
So one thing that is maybe
something like
worth
this here.
discussing, because just something that I think is kind of interesting to talk about, when you're using fragments, what's a good policy for how to manage the data that comes in? Because like one of the things that's very clear when you're using a query is that if I use a query in that home component, then whatever I put in the query, right? This is going to get passed as data. So data.wordpress. What have you found is like a good convention for this? Because when we're doing this, what goes to the component? Should it be this whole thing? Because then you would need to know what's coming out.
It's gonna. I think it's gonna depend on your application's needs. But if you go down to like where we map over things and have our switch statement, in our case, we return the entire section, right? To like the hero component, we're passing the entire section.
Yeah.
If we also needed knowledge of like the page, uh, we could pass that as a prop too. I think it's going to depend on your application's needs largely.
So really there's not a right answer. There's just consistency. Like choose a thing and be consistent about that thing.
Probably, yeah. I, there is a pattern of this kind of related. There is a pattern I've seen of people like creating something like fragments directory in their application and like moving their fragments outside of components and then importing them. I think it comes from like the whole like MVC style of thinking, like separate your concerns of where you get data from how you render it. GraphQL using GraphQL, the concern that we're separating is how we get the data, not what data we're getting. So
Yeah.
we're not actually separating a concern by moving the query or fragment outside of the component. We're
Yeah.
not doing ourselves a favor there. The concern we want to separate is how we're getting the data. Like, is it coming from a network? Is it coming from a cache? Is it coming from Gatsby? Is it coming from WordPress? So that's being abstracted already. What data is necessary to render is a direct concern of the component. So I would say, I personally would suggest leave your fragments and queries as close to the component that needs it as possible. Because
Yeah.
my that helps scale applications. Like, if you have multiple developers in there and stuff, it makes it a lot easier for them to hop in and be valuable. So that's just
Totally.
a preference. So even if it does mean writing similar fragments a dozen times, people do it because they're like, oh, I'm scared my application isn't going to be dry. Well, if
Yeah.
one only needs these two fields and another component needs these three fields, like, they have different responsibilities, right? So you trying to dry it up in a central place might hurt you long term.
And another thing
Anyway,
that's worth noting, so there were a couple questions here. Like the first one was you'd only keep one fragment in each file. I mean, maybe, but you also might have a case where you would need multiple. But something to note is we can do something like other fragment and and like put something out here, and like
you can nest
this is
fragments
fine.
within.
You can nest it within the fragment.
Yeah, so like, if you go to get rid of that real quick so we don't break things. If you go to the team members one, for example, we have like a nested field for profile fields. Like, let's just say if we wanted to, we don't need to. I think we're going a little too far here. But yeah,
Why not?
exactly. If we had a component for that,
Profile fields, and then that's going to be on. We need to go figure out what that's called. So let's
yeah, I can't
look
remember.
in here, graphical, and we do get the Explorer. Hooray! Okay, so I'm going to go into graphical. I'm going to get,
I'd probably just search in the docs, search profile. That's probably the fastest path, I think.
yeah, you're probably right.
So if you do
As
profile field,
usual, you're correct. Okay, so we get this one. Oh, wait, did I already paste this out? Let me paste in
nope.
the fields that we need, and then let me copy this. And then we'll do this. And then now what's happening is we're exporting two fragments, and we're actually using the second fragment right away. And so, I would agree with Jason here that this is a little bit overkill. But what's cool about this is like it lets you do whatever type of separation you want. Like this will continue to work. And if we wanted to go really overboard, we could
Like that
separate out the photo into yet another fragment. I don't necessarily think that's going to be a good move in a lot of cases. Like if you know what the shape of the data is, abstraction typically only helps when it's boxing up completely decoupled concepts. Like if you can't use one abstraction without the other abstraction, you might not need two abstractions. You might want to bucket them into one.
So the photo one actually, like, I haven't done the work myself yet, but like, let's say we came up, like, we're going to use Gatsby image at some point with WordPress, right?
Right.
So if you can come up with a fragment that gets you all the data you need from WordPress anytime a media item is queried from WordPress, then you can build one component that says, if WordPress returns a media item, use this component, and that fragment can be self-contained in that component. So anywhere in our application, we can reuse that photo component, and then
Yeah.
that would take things like Gatsby image, and then make sure it's asking WordPress for the correct shape of data that we need every time.
Yeah, and CodeBlink just made a good point in the chat that like if you're doing a second fragment, you might be at the point where you need a new component. And what you just said
Exactly.
exactly matches that. Like if we're going to use the same photo multiple times, but that photo field is included in multiple sections, then it totally makes sense. Let's design the photo component and have the fragment for what data is needed to make that photo component work, and then
And
just include that component and use its fragment in the sections that use it, and then you've got like fragments within fragments, but that abstraction makes sense.
and then another thing too is that now we're only passing data like one level down because of the fragment. Like so we're not passing from like the page like seven level down, like prop drilling or whatever. We're saying this fragment can be used just one level up. So we're only
Yeah.
worried about props one level.
Yeah.
So the query is going to end up like whatever, bubbling back up or whatever it's called, back to the original root. So the fragment's going to be part of that fragment, part of that fragment, and the original index page is going to query everything.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the components, we're only going to pass the props of that fragment down one level. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, cool. So okay, so
um,
let's actually use this data a little bit.
yeah.
Let's
Tell them
build
how to
something that
mark
we
up.
can ship. So we've got this. This is coming out our hero section, and right now we're dumping these, and what we're getting out is these are coming out as like top level, right? So that
Yeah,
means that up here we can just destructure them straight out, and we can say I want my background color, I want my button link, I want my button text, my description, and my title. And then
yeah,
here we can say this is going to be a section. And did I set this up where these are returning? No, they're returning whatever we tell them to return. So this is going to be a section, a hero section. We're going to make some assumptions that there's always only going to be one. So let's do that. And the hero section is going to use the title. Then we're going to use, is the description a text field or is it HTML?
yeah, yeah. It's a text field. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool. We
And then let's give it a background color.
give it a background color. So we can do style, and then we'll do background. I mean, this is clunky, but I don't want to install a CSS and JS library or anything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, and then let's just make sure that's working. Okay, so that's looking pretty okay. I mean, it's not looking okay, but it's gonna do. Let's say we'll do like a 3 EM padding on it to give it some space. Hey, look at that. And then we'll set the color to white.
So now real quick, go like maybe split screen this real quick. Open up the ACF page.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Side
do
by side
this
and go
one.
change that color.
Then I'm gonna pull this one out, and I'm gonna. Oh God, this is challenging. So I have shortcuts for this stuff, but I don't have the windows at the right height. Okay, so we've got this. I've got my home page. I'm going to change this color. We'll make it like a forest green, like a real
And then,
gross.
it'll be up and responsive. Yeah, update that. So
Okay.
then we added that like refetch interval.
Mm-hmm.
So we could change that, but if we just sit here for a minute, we should, fingers crossed, we should see it turn green. If we lowered that refetch interval to like
Mm-hmm.
5 seconds or whatever, like it would be almost real time. Yeah, there you go.
Heyo. So
Got
this
your
is.
kind of hot reloading.
I maybe call this one lukewarm reloading.
You know, if you changed it to 5 seconds, it would feel nearly
Yeah. No,
real
that's
time.
super slick. Like I love this I love this concept. I love how like that's nice. It feels good. And so then if we take this a step further, we can go in and let's do some team member stuff. So in our team
Yeah.
members, or I guess we should add our button because we went ahead and did one. Button link, and that's going to go to button text. Cool. That is just real ugly. Maybe I'm just gonna make it. We're just gonna live with the fact that this is not great looking. That's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So we'll get into our team members. How are we doing on time? We're almost out. So then here, this is dumping team members, and then we get an
Yeah.
array of team members. So we have to loop that. So we can come down here and say we want our team members, and then we can do, let's make this, we'll go team members map, we'll get team member, and then I'm going to return, for now I'm just going to kind of dump stuff. I think that'll be faster than anything else I can do. And we're getting an ID. So I'm going to give this a key of team member.id. We're going to use the team member's profile fields. And then I want...
Well, you type in, somebody asked a question, does Gatsby mean the visitor has to load the React shell, which then renders, causing a fetch to the GraphQL? So in this case, the fetch to the WordPress GraphQL server in this case happens at the build step. So all the data from WordPress is going to be fetched up front and then built into static files. So you can wire up Gatsby to also do dynamic fetches on the client, but in this case, it's gonna happen ahead of time, and then the end user is going to be interacting with straight up static data with no live connection back to WordPress.
I broke it. Team members gives me a
Oh,
team
I think
member.
it's nested kind of funky. So in your map, uh, it's almost like Edge's node. So there's like team member.
So I need to do that.
Under, it's kind of a weird shape.
That work?
Yeah.
Okay, so that got close, but I didn't. Oh, because it's title, not name.
I think it's title. Yeah, that's poor naming.
That's fine. It's fine. And then we can go like image source equals team member profile fields.
Yeah, there's someone else is asking. So you'd have a WordPress hook for changes, so Gatsby recompose. Yeah, that's there's plugins like WP Tavern actually wrote an article about this just a couple weeks ago. There's several plugins already for WordPress that allow you to like rebuild on things like Netlify or whatever. Like I know one, Justin Hall, he's an engineer at SendGrid that has one called like WordPress Netlify or Littlebot Netlify or something like that. You install it on WordPress and it listens to certain actions in WordPress, and then it'll send a webhook to Netlify to rebuild if you're hosted on Netlify. We're working on like live preview experience with WordPress and Gatsby as well, so keep your eyes open for that. And then over time, we'll hopefully have, or we won't hopefully, we will have incremental builds for WordPress and Gatsby as well. So instead of having to rebuild your whole site as you make like a typo change on one page, it'll just be able to update that one typo instead of rebuilding your entire site.
Awesome. So Jason, I think we've built ourselves a site with WP GraphQL and Gatsby and WordPress, man.
Yeah, so just one last real quick thing, just reorder the sections, right? If you wanted, as a user, the team members above hero, so you can just drag and drop it, update. One thing you could do instead of waiting for that 60 seconds, you could just hard refresh. Yeah.
Oh boy, we got that timing exactly right. But yeah, so this is powerful stuff, right? So we have drag and dropped, got this thing updated, and then we can come in here. It looks like we would have to stop and restart the server to get that change immediately. But like, this is really powerful. So Jason, thanks so much for coming on today. I will get this source code posted. We'll cross-post the video. Is there where should people go to find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Jason Bahl, Bahl, and then also WP GraphQL on Twitter. And then WPGraphQL.com. Yep, WP GraphQL. We got the GraphQL elephant.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go WP GraphQL.
And then on GitHub, we're on Git. So we have a Slack, or there's a community page on here that has links to like join our Slack organization. We have a Spectrum community, Twitter links, all that.
And an email if you want to get updates.
Yep, got an email. I don't send out tons of emails, only very important things at the moment. So
cool. Does it use WebOnix under the hood?
It does use WebOnix under the hood. it also it makes use of as much core WordPress internals as possible. So
Nice.
it's using things like WP query, WP, user query, things like that. So other plugins in the WordPress ecosystem that hook into those like central filters
Mm,
will still work. Like if you
nice.
install a persistent object cache on your WordPress server, um, it'll take advantage of those things. It's not like this. I'm not reinventing all of WordPress.
Nice. Nice. Well, cool. So, Jason, this was great, man. I think we learned a bunch. I think we've got some really cool things going on. I am super excited to see what gets built out of this. Like now that you're working full time on it, now that we've got you as part of the Gatsby team, this is like a really exciting time, and I think that WordPress and Gatsby is a particularly powerful combination. Any parting words
There's
before we
one other
wrap it up?
quick question.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's one other quick I'll touch on real quick. I saw somebody ask, is WP GraphQL preferred to Gatsby source WordPress now? Um, I would say yes. Like I was brought on the Gatsby team because there's lots of pain points using the WordPress REST API, especially with a GraphQL schema like Gatsby wrapping it. There's a lot of inconsistencies with the REST API, and that's very difficult to wrap GraphQL over an inconsistent data source. So WP GraphQL gets rid of a lot of that inconsistency. It also allows to communicate with WordPress more efficiently and faster, so build times are slower. I mean, sorry, are faster, take less time. Uh, yeah, and then you get the benefits of GraphQL as well. So uh, we are working on exploring what the future of that is. Right now, GraphQL source, or sorry, Gatsby source GraphQL with WP GraphQL is kind of the preferred way. Um, but then, yeah, we're working on kind of new iteration of what sourcing Gatsby from multiple GraphQL schemas will look like that
Nice.
can take better advantage of like the node API within Gatsby. So
Yeah, and then we've got one more question. How much effort would it be to get GraphQL to work with TypeScript? I haven't done much TypeScript, so I actually don't know. Have you done any TypeScript work?
I haven't done much. Honestly, most of my time I still spend in PHP land. So
Okay.
would
So
yeah.
that's a good question for me to bring someone else on to be a TypeScript expert and teach me about it, and we can do a session on that. There is a note. So Apollo Code Gen will apparently update a file that allows you to do autocomplete. I assume that is going to be, if not TypeScript entirely, TypeScript compatible. So that might be a strong way to get, like in terms of the effort, that could make it much lower effort. I do want to get the Apollo team on here to talk about things like that because I feel like they've got a lot of GraphQL tooling that we're not using. So there might be some really cool ideas in there for people building Gatsby sites.
Yeah.
With that being said,
I want to show sometime like building a dynamic application with Gatsby where you can actually write mutations back to WordPress though.
oh
So we'll have
yeah,
to do another follow up.
yeah, I think that sounds awesome. With that, we're gonna wrap it up. I think so. Next Monday, you should put it on your clock. We are going to have Lori Barth on, and we're going to work on building a Gatsby website. She's got a site she uses. We're going to look at some features, things like that. It's going to be super cool. So tune back in. That's going to be at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on Monday. Later that week, I have. Oh no, I didn't put it down yet. I'm gonna do some Drupal work. So if you're interested with in Drupal, we're gonna have the Grant from Third and Grove is gonna come on, and we're gonna do some Drupal stuff. And I obviously need to go and update my events page, so that'll happen soon. Yeah, that being said, we're going to wrap it up for today. I really hope to see y'all here. Please hit that follow button on Twitch so that you get notified when we go live. If you want custom emoji, we now have a fun bear emoji that you can use if you subscribe, because that's the thing that Chris Biscardi made that now I have forever. I think that's it. I think that's all we got. So thank you so much. And now let's watch my sweet, sweet After Effects animation as we scroll out. We'll see you next time, everybody.
See ya.